Hello, everyone, and welcome to Miscellaneous Candor. Frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. This is Robbie, and this week, this is our first episode of 2025. That's right. It's a pretty interesting episode. We decided to add a different segment. We talk about it a little bit moving forward. So we'll have kind of four key areas that we'll talk about in the podcast. Before, we had our three main topics, kind of discussion topics. Now we're going to have four. Also, too, you can probably tell I got a new microphone, everyone. Talk about this in the new episode as well. And you will find Stephen and I kind of get into it a little bit in this podcast. Yes, normally we disagree, but this one gets a little bit more heated than normal. So tune in, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Robbie. Welcome to Miscellaneous Candor. Frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. I got a new microphone. What do you think?
Robbie, wow. All I can say is that voice. That is spectacular. Hello, my friends. It is I, Stephen Kennedy, your board certified atheist, at your service. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Here we are. It is 2025. Can you believe it's 2025? Those are like Star Trek numbers.
I cannot believe it. It's incredible how the years keep on passing by, yet I keep on looking beautiful as always.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. Here we go, everyone. Okay, so it's like a
Speaking
new
about
year.
beauty, I
What?
oh, no, we can talk about that later in our.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that later. So, audience, couple things for the new year. One, obviously, I got a new microphone. Want to make sure that I'm clear and you can hear me. Definitely provide some feedback on what you think. Secondly, we are going to add a new segment to the podcast. A segment where we get a little bit more personal about just like how we're feeling about certain things, some personal journeys that we have, just to share that with you. And you
Can I
know
ask?
what?
Can we call that personal section? Can we call it toilet talk? Because toilet talk is look at the personal space where you have your most personal inner thoughts, right? Can we call it toilet talk?
I think we need to noodle over that a little bit more, as people might say. Yeah, let's take that offline. Can we put that in the parking lot, please? And not,
You're so
I'm
silly.
I'm in agreement with. n- Can we talk about that offline, please?
Sure, sure.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're gonna have that new section, but let's get started today.
Speaking of toilets, I just want to say that
Can we talk
it's
about podcasts, please? See,
right.
Stephen, this is the thing. This is not bad friends. This is
Right.
not bad friends.
No,
This is
I just
not
wanted to
bad
compliment
friends.
you. I just wanted to tell you that I think it's great that you no longer sound like you're sitting on a toilet when we're chatting.
Oh my God. Must you insult me? Okay,
No,
so,
that's a compliment about your voice quality.
okay, all right. We're
You no
just
longer sound like you're on a toilet.
okay. Let's move on.
Wow.
So, all right. Podcast. There were so many things that are happening in terms of the podcast land. So, okay, I have to mention this. I do listen to this podcast, but it was pretty interesting about them talking about just some of the things that are going to be major for 2025. Everybody has like their 2025 prediction. So I was listening to Prof G Markets. They were talking about podcasting, how podcasting is going to be something that's continually growing, how they're always getting like Prof G, Scott Galloway, is always getting people to reach out to him about podcasting. They want to start a new podcast, et cetera, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then, too, um, also, I was listening to the fact that they were just talking about GLP-1 drugs and how it's just changing the whole landscape of things.
GOP1 drugs. Can you tell me what that is?
Semaglutide, trizepatide, Ozempic, Mounjaro,
Oh, it's the
and
weight
how it's
loss
just
stuff.
changing everything. Yes, how it's just changing everything. And I think, one of the things that I actually listened to in terms of a new podcast, outside of what they were talking about on Prop G markets, and how, I mean, Scott's been saying for a long time that he really thinks it's just totally going to change everything in terms of the food industry, how people do things, all this, because it not only satiates your hunger, but
Yeah.
drinking, depression helps with your heart. There's just all these
Really?
things. Yes, yes. And
Interesting.
so the other thing, I was listening to the podcast called The Daily. It is from the New York Times, and I know people are like, "Oh, New York Times is super liberal," but that's not the point. The point is, it's a podcast about daily news, and one of the things they were talking about is there was a story about this food company, and oh my god, I forgot the name of it, but it starts with an M. I think it's Martell or Markel or something. But essentially, they make all of these, and link the I will actually link the podcast episode, but they make all of these food flavors, like all of the things that are in processed foods that people used to be addicted to. Well,
Mhm.
essentially, what Ozempic and Manjaro and all of those things do, not only do they alleviate you not wanting to be hungry, but you get hungry for different things. You start to get hungry for real foods. In fact,
Interesting.
they said that it allows you when you do taste, so they were testing people who were on these, GLP-1 drugs, and they found that they were not only wanting to eat whole foods, but when they ate something like a Ho-Ho or a Twinkie, they could taste like the metallic flavor that they cover up in the processing process. So, that they
Interesting.
make these.
Yeah.
Yes, it was crazy. So
Was
what these companies now are doing, this main one, this large one, it's testing new ways to have the taste buds and the sensation adjusted for people who are on GLP-1 so that
oh
they don't
no.
lose.
Oh my
Yes,
god.
so they don't lose money, and that they have, like, additional foods that will allow the people who were on the GLP-1s so that they can process them in a way that they'll wanna eat those foods. I was like, "Wow."
Wow.
That was really deep. It was really.
So do these so Ozempic, for example,
Yes.
do these medications so they not only curb your appetite, but do they also have a reaction in your system to actually increase the weight loss, or is it strictly limited to curbing the appetite?
So what happens is, like, in your gut, there is this thing called GLP-1, right? Gluca blah, 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 whatever. It's a
Okay.
long name, right? So and it's produced in your body. As you get older, your body produces less and less of it, but it naturally is there. So what this does is it just increases the amount in your gut.
Okay.
And so that particular enzyme or whatever, it allows you not to controls your appetite. Like, so if you have a lot of it, you don't want to eat. And so
Okay.
that's what it's doing. It's like boosting that,
But what about for
right?
those people that they they eat normal, but maybe they have
Mhm.
slow metabolism or something, and they just don't, so this kind of drug wouldn't be appropriate for those kind of people that they're eating normal, but they're still putting on weight just because they've gotten older and their metabolism has slowed down. Is that
But
am I understanding
part of
that
the
correctly?
metabolism slowing down is because of this, evidently, this enzyme thing.
Okay.
Like, because that too, it helps with that as well, from what I understand. But
Okay.
mainly it's the appetite. So what happens is you just lose weight because you're not eating as much. Like,
Mm.
and so then when you don't eat as much, your body starts to go to the fat and use
And
that
a lot of it is also
to.
about eating the right foods, which you said this helps. Just this kind of
Yes.
helps your
Yes.
body crave the more proper foods rather than the ho hos.
Yes, and, the other thing too is if you start eating those Ho-Hos when you're on the stuff, you get sick.
Oh,
Like, it
wow.
makes you sick. Like, you don't and then you don't crave things that are bad for you. That's why people don't want alcohol. They say that
You
if I don't do this, I'm gonna be very clear, and I state this, I do not do this. But for people who do a lot of cocaine, they say that if you are on GLP-1 drugs, you don't wanna do a lot of
well,
cocaine
you can
anymore.
tell us the truth, Robbie. You know,
No more yayo.
this is a no judgment zone. You do cocaine, you do cocaine.
Kidding. I'm not I just had to say no
No,
more
it's
yayo.
just you can be free. You can be yourself here.
Oh my
I
god.
will support you in your journey.
Whatever. My point is I'm not doing cocaine, okay?
It's okay if you are. I'm just saying,
It's
it's
fine if other people do it. I'm talking about me, Steven. I'm talking
okay.
about me, Robbie. I'm not talking
Yes.
about you or anybody else. Do you people for sure. Know that. If that's what you want to do, that's your lane. You want to take a bump here and there, people have free choice. I'm not
I mean,
doing it. Mm,
how many grams have you done in one sit in like one night? What's the maximum,
I'm not
Robbie?
even answering that because
Oh, you don't want to
I
tell me, do you?
don't. No, I don't. I
Oh,
don't.
you don't
That's
want to
not
tell
my
me?
deal.
Come on,
Oh my
Robbie.
god, whatever. You always
Listen,
wanna go down
listen. I'm
the
just
path
don't
of
we all do
most
cocaine once in a while? I mean, it's
darkness.
okay. Don't we all do
Oh
cocaine
my
once in a while?
god,
You
okay.
know?
That's not the point of the conversation.
Okay.
The point of the
So,
conversation is that these GLP-1s satiate and just basically decrease your yearnings and the things for all of the bad things that people do, like a lot of the vices and bad foods, drinking, drugs, all of this. And supposedly too, it can help with your mood, depending on the one. Now, certain GLP, they said certain ones, people have said that Manjaro doesn't make you depressed, but Ozempic can.
hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't taken them, so I don't know.
But
Uh,
Ozempic, you have to be a
but I'm
diabetic,
probably
right, in order to get a prescription that's
that's
covered by
Manjaro.
insurance?
That's Manjaro, but that's changing. And then there's another one called it's trizepatide, but what is it called? Oh, Zepbound. So that's just for weight, but it has the same active ingredient, which is um, trizepatide, which is also too in Manjaro, and the Manjaro is the diabetes drug. So there's some permutations of these drugs, but the main ingredients, the one that I'm talking to you about, semaglutide and trizepatide, those are the ones that affect the GLP-1 in your stomach, and that is the one that affects your appetite. The
Yes.
downside, though, is that people get things, they call it like Ozempic face or Ozempic booty, where basically you lose your behind. Like, you might have booty and then you don't have booty anymore, or your face starts looking all sunken in, because you can also too, when you're not eating, you can have a huge amount of muscle loss. So it's important that you go and take your ass to the gym when you're on this. The other part is, I just said take your ass to the gym. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, but
No pun intended.
but the other piece too, at least from what I understand about all of these, is that not only do you need to exercise, but let's say you are just on it for a few months, you need to have changed your lifestyle because you will gain the weight back.
I see.
So it
So
is
are
like
you
it's
supposed to be at
pharmaceutical drug like other pharmaceutical drugs where you are meant to take it to maintain your weight. So they assume that you're going to take it forever. But there are people who've been on it for 3 months and then have lost weight and have been able to maintain or not gain as much back because they literally did all of the other stuff. So
that's what I
if
was gonna
you
ask you. So you don't have
yes.
to be a lifetime user user. Um, as long as you can maintain a new lifestyle.
Yes, but
Okay.
see, that goes without say that then that goes back to Jillian Michaels, because I don't know if you know this, but Jillian
Oh,
Michaels
I
totally
know
hates
Jillian
Ozempic,
Michaels. I used to have a little crush on her, but then I realized she's a little too muscular for me.
and
Like
she's a
I can't
lesbian.
I have a hard time being attracted to women that could beat me up?
She's a lesbian too, or maybe she's
Oh,
bisexual.
even better.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think she's
Sorry.
bisexual. Anyway, the point is that
Just because
she
she's a
um
bodybuild muscular, she doesn't have to be a
no,
lesbian.
no, no, no. I'm telling you that if you look, you go and you look, she is. Like
Oh, okay.
she says this about herself. I'm not
Is her
making an
girlfriend hot
assumption.
too?
She was married to a woman,
Is
and
she hot?
I don't know, they're divorced.
Okay, I gotta look this up.
Anyway, okay, yeah, look it up. That's not the point. The point is that she's totally against these GLP-1s, and she feels like if people make the lifestyle changes, they can lose just as much, if not more weight, the old-fashioned way, quote unquote, than with the GLP-1s, because
I
there's all
you,
the other things. Because the other thing with the GLP-1s, the bad part is you can have a lot of gastrointestinal issues.
I see. Well, there's a risk with all no matter what you take. There's a risk
Yes.
associated with. So you take it, you weigh all the factors about your own personal, your own personal situation, and you take it accordingly. But
Yes.
people like what annoys me about people like Jillian Michaels is that these people, their entire lives revolves around working out, their whole career. So all day and night they're thinking about working out, or they are working out, and they somehow think that the average person can live that same lifestyle. These are people that are not, they're not the average person. They're obsessed with working out. The vast majority of people, that's not the only focus in their life. They have all sorts of other things to do. They have a day job, for example, which does not involve working out. So when people like Jillian Michaels says it can be done the old-fashioned way, for a lot of people it can't. It can be, but it's not. There's if there's an easier route, why not take it?
You know what, Stephen? You know what I'm about to say?
Are you going to say I'm right?
I think you're right. I
Oh
actually agree with you.
goodness. Wow, I have arrived.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Um, but yeah, I think that you make a really good point. I
Huh.
think that that's the case for a lot of people. Um, just in terms, just all kinds of things, particularly when you're able to invest in things for your self-care and physical well-being. A lot of that stuff now costs a lot of money, and sometimes people can afford it, sometimes people can't. And for regular people who, may not, like you said, have the time to work out 3 or 4 times a week in a gym, or, you know, an hour, because people are like, "Oh, it's just an hour a day," but you don't know what people are doing. You
Right,
don't know how
right.
long they have to commute. You don't
And
know
you've
if they
got
have to
people,
be on a
the
bus or
commutes,
yeah,
the
yeah,
bus, the
all of that
people, they have to
stuff.
work 2 jobs day and
Yeah,
night.
yeah. No, you're
So
right. I you're right.
I need to record that. Oh, wait, we are recording it.
We are recording it.
Um,
Okay, let's go to the next subject.
well, hold on one second. I just want to
I'm
say,
looking at the time.
yeah, right. Okay, very quickly. I want to say, when you explained to me how these medications work, and I was shocked by the way it really seemed like it mimicked the results of what I was feeling when I've done intermittent fasting,
Okay, we're not
quite a few
talking
times.
about okay, you're jumping. We're jumping
No, 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 I'm
topics.
not. No, no, listen. I'm talking about when I was intermittent fasting. So
Yes.
I'd stop eating at about 9 p.m. and I wouldn't eat till about 3 p.m., 2 or 3 p.m. the next day. And
Mhm.
what it did, it completely removed my desire to eat unhealthy foods, and I started eating only healthy foods. And when I put that piece of chocolate in my mouth, or that cupcake in my mouth,
Mhm.
it tasted bad. I had no desire, and when I tried it, it tasted disgusting to me. So I thought it was fascinating, how the mechanics of your body work. That it sounds like this medication is mimicking what happens if you do a regular diet.
Mm, I don't know. Honestly, I can't speak to that. You'd have to look that up, because I think that there are other people who've tried intermittent fasting and that's not their experience.
No?
Yes.
Meaning what?
Meaning, like, they might interpret it fast, but then that cupcake tastes good. Anyway, okay, can we go
Yeah,
let's
one
we gotta
one more
finish
thing,
our
by the way.
outline, and then we'll
One
go to the
one
can
more
we
thing.
go back on
Well,
this?
just
No,
just re
Steven!
just related to this
Steven,
topic, really quickly. I wanna say that,
this is
um,
why
I
no
I
one
just
is listening.
really quickly, I just wanna say, I was brought to a realization. I was spending a lot of time with,
Steven,
friends over the
mhm.
holidays, and, I was made fun of a lot because apparently I've gotten fat.
Steven,
So,
Steven, for real.
here,
This is
I'm doing
part
a
of our
diet.
new subject, and you're, like, jumping. Why do you do
Oh,
this?
I'm sorry.
Why do you
I
do this to the
oh.
audience? You're
This
like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about the stuff. We're gonna talk about our personal journeys. I'm just gonna jump into it right
Right,
now."
stop. Okay, okay, stop. No, no more jumping around. Okay.
That's fine. Do you want to let's just talk about our personal
No,
journeys.
let's not do that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm just saying. I love how like the audience gets to see how we go back and forth. Um I do. Okay, okay,
Oh,
okay. All right, okay. So I don't really have a lot
only 20.
for
We're already 20
AI.
minutes in.
I know, but are we gonna do an hour today?
It's, um,
And we're especially supposed to be talking about podcast episodes,
yeah.
remember? And
Can I talk
I
about a podcast?
was yes, you can, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Because this was all based upon that podcast episode that I
Yes,
said I listened to that was called The Daily, right? What did
yes.
you listen to?
I was introduced to a podcast by some of my buddies. It's called Group Chat,
Okay.
and it's three guys, and it's basically a podcast, just regular banter, just goes with the flow. And my friends love it, and I thought it was pretty good, but um, it kind of got a little dragging it sometimes. Where I kind of tuned out. But they talk about interesting things. They talk about um, things that little details about things that we think about, but we don't actually discuss and dissect with our friends. With other people. So it's things that are, they're in the back of our head, but we never really bring it out of our mouth because not real. We're like, is it worth the time investment to actually talk about this stuff? But I thought if you're driving and you're listening to this stuff, it's a good podcast to listen to while you're driving. Um, yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. It's just two guys that are Indian, yes, and one white guy. Uh, and I believe two of them are the white guy and one Indian guy are in um, the clothing distribution business, and they're kind of semi celebrities. And the third guy is in the venture capital world. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of just like three guys if they're sitting at home chatting about stuff that you really wouldn't care to talk about.
So tell me this, are they people that people would know? Are they just semi-celebrities because they have this podcast?
they're they're people that you would know. Well, not everyone, but I didn't know about them until my friends told me about them. So,
Okay.
but they knew about them before the podcast.
Okay. So what did they do before the podcast?
I think they still do their day job. I believe
Oh, I
two of them
see.
are in the
Oh, the distribution,
yeah,
fashion distribution. And
yeah.
so if you know that industry, then you would know who they are. That's what I'm hearing you say. Is that correct?
Well, they're kind of all so they're kind of they're kind of in the pop culture world. So I guess if you're really tuned into the pop culture world, you would know two of the guys, the guys that are in the fashion industry and on a reality show, whatever. But you wouldn't know the third guy.
Oh, they're on a reality show.
One,
Okay.
I think one of them was, yeah.
Okay.
His
All right.
name is what's his name? Chris Pfaff.
I have no idea who that is. I'll have to go and look and see if I recognize them because, I do have some reality junkie TV in me. So I may recognize him by face,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure. I definitely don't recognize him by name. But okay,
Yeah,
group
it's worth a listen. It's not for everyone. Like I said, I enjoyed it while I was driving.
okay. I have to take a look at it. You should try listening to the Daily too, just for news. Because and let me just tell you why I was listening to Daily for news. Because I've given up Instagram for 30 days.
Why? Are
This is
you addicted?
transitioning. This is transitioning to AI. Yes, I feel like I have been. I feel like you know um, the algorithm is taking over. I feel like in terms of me just doom scrolling, as they say.
Yeah,
And then
I
I
call it
hear
toilet
about
scrolling.
the fact that if you keep scrolling, it damages your brain, which totally makes sense. And I like to think that I'm not addicted, but I find that I was looking at it just way too much.
The
And
problem
I
is,
needed
Robbie, that
to. Can I just finish my thought,
oh,
please?
sure, sure,
Um,
please.
I think that I needed to create a life for 30 days because it's as if I was doing dry January, right? But I'm not doing dry January. I'm doing dry. Well, I'm always dry, so there's that. But
Sounds like you're not dry right now.
exactly. So no, but my point is that I wanted to really take a step back from social media
Mhm.
and see if I can find out information and do things without it. So I'm leaning in heavy on the podcasts, audio books. Sometimes I'm watching the news a little bit more, TV a little bit more, but even still, I'm looking at YouTube. But I said, let me
Well,
just get off of Instagram. I need to
so
stop
you're not off
scrolling.
all social media, you're just off Instagram.
Yeah, I'm just off Instagram. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, I'm just off Instagram because I just needed a break from the scrolling. And
Yeah.
I feel it's only been what is today? Today is January 6th. Yes, you know what today is. Today is January 6th. But I do
Oh, don't we
feel
know?
better. I feel better. Even just after 6 days, I feel better.
Good. That's very good.
So, but speaking of AI and algorithms and
Are
addicting,
you
I just think
are
that
you one of those people that sit in the toilet and then just get lost on the toilet? Like, you're just scrolling for
no,
hours?
I don't do that. No, I don't
Okay.
know why we're talking about the toilet so much, but no, I don't do that. I just find that I do scroll. I do find though at nighttime, if I'm like falling asleep or something, I will just scroll. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not how I should go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, and then two, I have to make a concerted effort in the morning not to look at it. And I don't want to feel like I'm forcing myself to do that. So
When you
I
say
want to
in the
sleep.
morning, are you saying right when you open your eyes, you just
Yeah.
grab your phone and
Yeah.
start
Yeah,
oh,
there's been a couple times where I've just grabbed it and started scrolling. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
wow.
Like,
You
that
are
should not
addicted.
be the first thing that I do. That's when I started saying, "I need to take a break," because that's
Hmm.
not good. Um, and then just in terms of AI in general, I do think it's gonna be interesting. In one of the predictions, I know, Scott Galloway's talking about, he calls it open video, but
You really
essentially
like Scott
AI.
Galloway. I
I
feel like
do like
everything
Scott
about Scott
Galloway. I do
Galloway.
like Scott Galloway. I do. I think there's some people that don't like him, because they feel like I think he's center. I think that some people feel like he's left. I know he supported Kamala, but what I like about him is he's not afraid to say things that'll piss people off who are super far left. And I think for the most part, the things that he says are pretty like they make sense. I just feel like a lot of times right now we're in this area of this time, I should say, in the world where people feel like they can say the craziest stuff that makes no sense, and that's okay. And just because it's on Instagram or just because it's on YouTube or just because it's on a platform, that it's true. And
Mhm,
we didn't used to be that way. Like people have lost the art of critical thinking. And I think that AI is doing that because you can do so much where you don't have to think about so many things. You can just plug it in and it'll spit something back out at you. So
mhm,
anyway, he was talking about open video, which is like a combination of OpenAI and NVIDIA, because everything is built on NVIDIA. Like that's the architecture, and how there are going to be a lot of applications that are built on that type of platform that are going to become unicorns. And I agree. I really do think that people are figuring out, and if you look at some of the CEOs out there and some of the things that they're talking about doing in terms of efficiency and just types of apps that are creating things for other companies.
mhm,
The idea is to create things for, they're always creating things for money, increasing revenue, but also to elimination of jobs. And we haven't really seen it yet, but I think it's going to happen. I wouldn't say faster than we expect, but it's definitely gonna happen. So I think everybody should be knowing how to I'm trying to understand how to build an agent, which is I don't think it's gonna be that difficult, but if you have not tried GPT, Gemini, Claude, you need to. Like, you just really need to be able to utilize those tools to triple time your efficiency and productivity. I just think you've got to do that as a regular person. You can't
Mhm.
just be out here in these streets
That's a
thinking,
good point.
"Oh, I
Yeah.
don't need it. Oh, I don't need it." Even if you're even in real estate, there's things that you can do in terms of just understanding how to, think through things from that perspective that before you would have to manually consolidate all of this data, and you just don't have to do it anymore. Now, that being said, I still think we're not at a point where you can just take that information and just put it out there without any kind of review. Like, you still need a human to review it.
Yeah,
But it gives you
absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
huge head start, and
Yeah.
you just gotta jump in no matter what you're doing. I mean, we use AI on this podcast. We use, AI tools.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so there's that. Yes, I like Sky LA. What were some of the other things that I heard? I still am not really down with the whole AI friend thing, but that seems to be something that's continually growing
The
as people
AI
are
friend
growing.
thing. What is
Yeah,
the AI thing?
I think people need to get out and have conversations more with people. And this is a conversation around AI too.
Oh, we talked
Yeah,
about this.
yes. And I'm trying to do that more. That's another reason why I'm off Instagram. I want to go places rather than just look at them on a freaking screen.
Yeah.
I need to get back out and interact with people again, be more social. That just means so much. And I think it seems to be that people are doing that a lot more. But there's like a lot of these private clubs and things that people are doing like that.
Private
But
clubs? You mean like what do you mean?
um yeah, there's
Sex clubs?
no. Why everything? What?
Oh, you mean just social clubs? Okay.
Yes, social
Right.
clubs. Yes. Oh my goodness. You and the All right, and then, the other thing is that companies such as, like, IBM, Salesforce, um, they're really, really growing because of AI. Like, they're really leaning in. Before, they were actually losing money, but they've implemented some of these tools to make things more efficient, and they're seeing growth in their
Mm.
businesses. So I think that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think that every single company that's growth focused right now is trying to figure out how they can incorporate AI into their offerings or into into uh, their internal processes.
But it has to be impactful. Like, it can't just be AI for AI's sake or just saying that it's AI, which
Right.
is what people
Right.
were doing, and there's a lot of people out there like, "I'm an AI this and I'm an AI that,"
Right.
and they really have no true background in it, they're not working in it, they're not seeing how, behavioral data analytic m models are really impacting their business in a real way. Like, unless it's doing that, I don't think that it's really impactful. Then it's just kind of just what technology was. Like, are you just gonna put tech in for tech purposes and then it's just sitting there and it's not really doing anything to make anything better? It's just so you can say that you have it. Like,
Yeah.
there's that. So I do feel like we will see some companies just kind of go under because they don't have a real
And then that goes for the UI
purpose.
side too, right? You've got companies that are
Yeah.
trying to put out bells and whistles for their clients because, that use AI, and it's just garbage that they're putting out
Yeah.
there. They're going to spend a lot of money making it work, just so they can be flashy for their clients and say, "Hey, we got this to offer. You can use this. You can pay this much," and it's going to sink. It's going to sink the companies.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. And I think that we're seeing some things like with AI and cybersecurity. I think that that's really cool in terms of, there's a lot of threats and a lot of things that you can create using AI to be malicious. So then you can use AI to attack those AIs that are malicious. So I think that's really super engaging and it's effective. It's out there, it works. Trust me, it's effective. Then I also too think there's these other just tools where people have GPT, but there's this other tool that I use. It was one company and it's called Glean. And I think it's just so freaking amazing.
Why
So
do
if
I know about this? Why?
so Glean, if you have it essentially at your company, you can use it to ask, like you go to work in a company and you have training or onboarding, right? And you're trying to understand what to do, how to do things.
Hmm.
It's like you go into Glean and say, I'm here. How do I do this? And it pulls up everything from every freaking resource in the company.
Oh,
And it's like an internal Google on steroids, but focused. And it
very
gives you
nice.
the answer immediately. I just
Well,
think
you should
that's
you
so
should see the
freaking cool.
crap we're using at my company. It's
Let's not
attempting
talk about our companies as people figure out where we work.
right.
I gotta stop you there. Okay, so those are the things I was just thinking about. Those things that were coming up recently from an AI perspective. How about for you? What have you? You have some pretty interesting things sometimes. I think you were going to talk about something this week too.
I was, but since we're at 36 minutes, we can just hold off till next time on
Really?
that.
Why?
We yeah, we can talk about it next week. It's okay.
Okay.
But
All right.
yeah. Just,
Okay. All right. So let's go into news, and then we'll go into the other subject. So let's go. News. We got 2 more weeks till the inauguration.
yeah.
You ready? You ready? Ready? He was certified
I
today.
yeah.
President was certified
Today
today.
was
President Trump.
I turned on CNN for a few minutes today, and you know, glad to see there were no uh attempts to take over the. Anyways, um,
Are you
what do
talking
you think
about
about?
the riot or that happened, the
Yeah,
January 6th?
yeah.
There wasn't going to be any attempts. I mean,
Of course not, because Trump won.
yeah,
So the Democrats were not going to attempt to,
no, they
overthrow the
weren't.
government or anything.
Justin
Um,
Trudeau stepped down. He resigned.
what? I was not aware of this. When did
Yeah,
this happen?
today.
What?
Yeah, he
Wow.
resigned from being Prime Minister of Canada. But evidently, he's like done some crazy stuff where people are really like not feeling him. He's had multiple people resign from his cabinet,
Yeah.
um, and so the new guy is the backup person is conservative.
Yeah.
Um,
I was not aware of this.
yeah,
Would you there's the murders, the mass murders that happened on New Year's more early hours of New Year's Day.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is disgusting.
yeah. I
I
mean, that's just all of it is just horrible. Um, it's horrible. I mean, the crazy part is both of them are veterans, and
Yeah,
both of them
it's
had
incredible. It's incredible.
PTSD.
These
Both
are
of them had
people that
PTSD.
have dedicated their lives to
Yeah,
protecting Americans, and here you are. It's just shocking.
and they both,
Just,
like, lost it. One killed 15 people, he's gone, the other one blew up a truck and killed himself. I mean, it's just they're both horrible tragedies in a variety of different ways, but I just, again, think that this speaks to the fact that we're not and I don't know, I don't know if I'm how much pushback I'm gonna get at this, but I don't feel like we take care no, I don't feel like we take care of our veterans when they come home. I mean, like,
absolutely,
when they
absolutely.
come back from war, they do not
You're,
get taken care of properly. If they don't have, like, a good family to come back to, they're kind of screwed, and even sometimes when they do, there's
you're
not
still screwed.
the
Yeah,
assistance and the services that they should get, and, they're putting their
right,
lives on the line for the country,
right.
and
You're absolutely right.
that's a huge, huge, um, like, sacrifice that they're
Yeah,
making of
yeah,
themselves for a country, and then it's just like, "Screw you," when you come back. And then what are
right.
you supposed to do? Like, how there's it's just I just don't
It's a very tough adjustment to
to
go
say the
from
least.
one. Yeah,
To say the least. I mean, I have veterans in my family, so,
right.
I think I can speak on that to a degree. Um Some I know that it was hard for some people. Some people had, harder sort of walks than others in terms of what they were doing, when in their service. But I will say all did come back to families who were supportive and all of that. So there was that. And, you know, knock on wood, no one that I know of has gone through any sort of PTSD or extreme sort of circumstances, but I can
Mhm.
see how that could happen because it's, again, like you said, it's such a hard transition, and we don't support our veterans the way we should. We just
Yeah.
don't. And sometimes people look at me like, "Why are you saying thank you for your service?" Because, I don't want to do that. And for
Mhm.
somebody else to put their life on the line like that,
Mhm.
for me, for us as a yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't think that that's hard to say,
Yeah.
independent
Well,
of whether the war is justified or not. Because then because the
right.
people who are fighting in the war, they're not the same people making the decisions to go.
Right. Right. That's a whole other
So,
issue.
yeah,
That's a whole other problem.
exactly.
And you know what? It's a tough spot to be in when they have to take orders without agreeing with what they're doing. A
There's
lot of
that
time.
part.
Yeah.
You don't know what's
There's
going on with someone's head. That's for
yeah.
very sure.
What do you think? Being a believer, how do
Okay.
you? Wait, I just want to ask, how do you? And I love asking people as believers this question because it gives me I like to understand the creativity that goes into the thought process of a believer. How does God allow such tragedies to happen? If there is a God, how does he allow it to happen?
Well, here's the thing about that kind of conversation, and I'm only going to say this one time, Stephen, because you always like to have these religious conversations, and this is really not a part of our podcast. I'm just going
Oh,
to
it's
be
not.
frank with you. No, it's
I,
not. It's
it's,
not.
I don't
You
know.
are a
You could
board
have.
certified atheist, and you say that, and that's fine. That is what you are defining yourself as. But, I don't feel a need to always talk about my faith. I'm going to answer this question,
Can I
and I'm
just?
not going to answer it anymore.
All right.
When people say things like, how can God do this?
Uh-huh.
First of all, God gave humans free choice.
Okay.
Humans do these things. It's not
Okay.
God that's doing these things. So this idea that how can God do, I mean, it's just a way to justify how can you believe in something beyond yourself. I mean, because really, okay, whether or not we can offline
Well, no, let's do it
some point.
online.
No, 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 I don't want to. That's the whole thing. You wanna do it, you think it's funny. It's not
I,
funny. It's
I,
not funny, and here's the reason why it's not funny, because, whether I'm Christian, whether somebody else I know is Muslim, whether somebody else I know is Buddhist, whether somebody else is Hindu, whether somebody else, is another religion, everybody has a belief that there's something beyond ourselves, and
I
I
don't.
don't think that you don't, but here's my thing about that. Even people like what Elon Musk that supposedly says we're in what is it? That we're not in reality. We're in a simulation and all of
Uh-huh.
this stuff has happened. Even that construct means that there is something beyond ourselves. I think that it is extremely egotistic, egotistic, narcissistic, and self-centered to believe that we are it.
Yet you can't
There's so
prove
much
anything.
beyond that. No, who says that? Let me say this one thing to you,
Yes.
and I'm not gonna say what this religion is,
Okay.
of this person, okay?
Lay
I
it
know
on me.
someone who has multiple PhDs in hard sciences,
Uh-huh.
okay? Hard sciences, deep knowledge about the inner workings of the world from a scientific perspective, yet still has seen things and understands how things work on a very detailed level, right?
Uh-huh.
Beyond you and me,
Yeah.
way smarter than me and you. As I said, multiple PhDs in
Okay.
this stuff. And still has a belief in something beyond. Why? Because there's not proof of everything that is in the material world that that is it.
I'll tell
There's
you
still
why.
questions.
I'll tell you
No,
why someone
and
with
that's fine.
several
Here's my
science
thing.
PhDs
You have a right
of
to
course, of
be
course. But
who you are. And
I'll
even back in times where there were people who are believers before me, there are people like you who are non-believers. That's the whole thing. This is not
but
new.
I'll tell
Being
you
an
why.
atheist is not new, and
I'll
that's
give you
fine. I'm not trying to you asked me a question, so I'm gonna answer it
yes,
fully.
yes, please, yes.
I'm not trying to convince you like you're trying to convince me.
No, I
I'm not
would
trying to do that.
never.
But what I'm
Oh,
saying is I
Robbie.
do think that there is some sense of let me always undercut, undermine, disrespect, pummel people who are believers because I'm not one. And I just don't think that if you are someone who is an atheist and you have quote unquote ethics and you believe in trying to be good, even if you don't believe people are good, like you always say, then why do you disrespect people who have different opinions than you?
So,
And
uh,
that's it. I'm not going to go there anymore. I don't want to talk about religion on this show.
okay.
Period.
Now,
Full stop. You
I
can say whatever you want to, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
okay, and I appreciate your detailed explanation. I really do, and I respect it because I respect you, Robbie. Um, I want to just jump in about that person you said, very intelligent person with multiple science PhDs. He still believes in God or some supreme or some other power, some other source, because he defaults to what human nature is, which is if we can't explain it, we have to find something to explain it. So if we don't have a logical scientific answer, human nature makes us default to saying, "Oh, it must be God," because as humans we're afraid of the unknown. Robbie,
I mean, that's not true about this person, but okay, that's your assumption. That's
yes,
wrong.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
I'm just saying that's wrong about this person. I know this person more than you do, not
I
all of
can
the ins and
say
outs, but
that
I can
even
tell that what
though
you
I
said
don't
is
know this
wrong.
person, it's
It's
if you
wrong.
a
That's
man of
it. So
science,
can we
if
please
if
go
we
on to
have
the
a
next
man of
subject?
science, his core principle is that you must be able to prove something in order for it to exist. Yet he's still defaulting to typical taught human nature, which is if I don't know the answer, it must be God. Well, I said something
That you
contradictory there.
don't know
I said
that.
human
But
nature and I said taught at the same time. It's a combination. It depends on person to person. Sometimes
exactly. You
taught,
don't know this
sometimes
person, so
it is human
I think
nature.
you should step back from thinking that you know what's in this person's
Ooh.
head.
Can we
I
can we
do.
um can we talk about who this person is?
No, we cannot.
Okay. What about offline? What about offline? Can we discuss who this person is?
No!
Why?
Because that's not the point of the conversation. My point of the conversation is what I said, and that's it. I'm stating those facts. I'm not talking about what's in the person's head and all that kind of stuff. Because even if I know this person, I don't even know what's in their head all the time. Nobody knows what's in anybody's head at any given point. But my point is this: you can't stand in science as someone, you know what? I'm done with this conversation. We have to move on to the next topic.
But I how come you
I'm not.
want scientific proof in everything else except for God? Because this is a
Again, you're
question I
making
have
all
for
of these assumptions.
this
Again,
is a
this is
question I
my
have
whole
for all
thing.
intelligent people,
You are
right? So
making all
if
these
you're very
assumptions.
intelligent, yet you still have a belief in God, and it doesn't make sense to me. So I want to understand how can intelligent people be able to think so logically and so scientifically, yet when it comes to God, there's an exception.
I could say the same thing to you.
Uh, I don't follow. But
Exactly.
circling back to
Let's talk
the
to
tragedies that
yeah, let's talk about that.
so what you're saying is that
They're
uh
both sad. That's what I said.
okay, okay. But
Both tragedies.
what you're saying is that God puts us here, but that's about it. Is that what you're saying? Like he doesn't, God, he or she or whatever, does not control the things that are happening amongst us.
I said what I said, and I also said I wasn't going to talk about it anymore. because
Okay.
it's not what our podcast is about.
Okay.
It's just not.
Um,
I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
can we talk about my diet?
We sure can. Let's talk about your diet. Let's go
So I
back.
was
Okay, so everybody, this is the part of the podcast where we talk about. I'm leaning away from my microphone, sorry. This is the part where we talk about some of the personal things that we're dealing with. I want to talk about this diet too because I also too am going through things with my health and fitness and well-being too. So go on in, Stephen. Let's
yeah.
talk about it.
So over the holidays, and I realized I put on some weight. Over the holidays, I was spending time with some friends, and they made it a point to explain to me how fat I've become, uh, which I'm thankful for actually, because I'm really going to. I was planning on starting my diet on the first, but the
Mhm.
first is actually a holiday, so that didn't work. And then this whole week, it's still kind of been a holiday the last week, right? So, um, and then today I was gonna start, but it's, I ended up eating a combination of Taco Bell, pizza, and McDonald's for dinner, which just to get it out of my system. But day after tomorrow, I'm starting my diet. I just want to eat a few more chocolate chip home baked cookies, then and then and then I will start intermittent fasting,
Okay.
and
All
I'm
right.
gonna cut 10 to 15 pounds so I can be healthy again. And I really do feel that my health has kind of dragged down. I definitely feel lazier, and it doesn't feel good. I feel out of out of my norm. It's not a good feeling. I feel uncomfortable. Not to mention the fact that I only have one pair of pants now that fit me. So
I'm sorry. Are you okay? Like, are you feeling sad about this?
no, because I still like looking at my face in the mirror. So,
Oh my God, here you go.
and I
Okay.
still have that muscle underneath the fat. So I do flex it around a little bit. Uh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I will say too, for me, like I've been working out. I've lost weight. I want to lose some more weight. I may try I think I'm going to try the GLP ones, one of them, just
Oh,
because you can,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
for like a period of time. 'Cause I have real a lot of my eating habits are so much better now. I mean, I don't eat junk. I work out 3, sometimes 4 times a week. But I just am not where I want to be. I have a goal. I'm not trying to be super skinny. That's just not me. It's not my structure, but I want to be, I do have a goal that where I wanna be, and I think that that will help me get there, just because it will help with the calorie deficit piece. Because I like to eat. I'm not gonna lie, I like to eat, and, as you get older, you know, stuff happens and you can't do what you did in your 20s. Um,
I've noticed. Yeah.
so so I think I'm going to try it and see what happens, for a couple months, and, I'll come back here and talk about it, see if it works, see if I, have any crazy side effects. Um, but but yeah, I will say this though about working out, even if I'm not getting, like, the results that I would like to super fast, I really do like working out. Like, I feel so much better. I'm
Yeah.
stronger.
But doesn't it takes a point to
Um
get to that point. It takes a while to get to that point where you enjoy working out. At first,
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
painful. It's the
Yes.
last thing you want to do in the day. But after
Yes.
you cross that barrier, it gives you that great feeling when you work out.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
want to get there too.
Absolutely, it does, and now it's sometimes I will go to the gym more than I want to in a week because of how I'm feeling. Like, I'm
Oh,
waking up and I'm like, I gotta go to the gym and get this out, like, and just feel better." And then
yeah.
after I leave, I feel better, and it just kind of resets my day and my mood and everything. Um, I really, really enjoy it. Um, I do a lot of weight training. I do some cardio, but not a lot. Um, the treadmill and stuff 'cause it's boring, but I do like the weight training. I don't do a lot of classes. If I do a class, like, I like Pilates. but I like the reformer. I
The
don't like
reformer.
floor per. Yeah, that's the bed where you lay down. It's kind of with the pulleys and that sort of thing. Oh, sorry. The reformer. I really like the reformer. Pilates. So there's this other exercise called P-ball that's out that everybody's supposed to be doing. They're opening up a studio close to here, and I'm, keep getting these emails. Come and try it and see what it's like. I don't know if I'm going to try it or not.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna keep you all apprised of my status, and if what I'm doing is working. I'm gonna experiment a few different ways and see what works the best to get weight loss. And so much of it is about what you eat. Um, so it's gonna be
Yes.
interesting to see how. My goal is I want to lose 15 pounds, maybe 20.
I don't really have a weight goal. I have more of a how I look and fit and look in clothes goal.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not really, I don't
I have
just,
a funny story related to this.
oh
If
my God.
we
Okay,
can
go
close
on.
we can close with this funny story. So, back in the day, I used to work out a lot. I like a lot. Me and my buddies used to work out a lot. Me and my best friend used to go to the gym all the time together and work out to Gold's Gym. Um, so
Okay.
why is that funny? What, you think it's only for big bodybuilders? What's
Yes. Yes. Okay,
anyways?
go on.
So we go to the gym one day, and we're always very competitive. The difference between me and my buddy was that I would build muscle really fast, big mass muscle, whereas he'd work out the same as me, yet he would never gain muscle.
Mhm.
So it was a big competition. I'd always make fun of him. And so one day we go work out. After working out every day, we'd go in the locker room and we'd flex and compare muscle. And this one day we're flexing, and he goes, look at me, I'm bigger." And he's flexing, and then he lowers curled his curled arm, and he turns at the same time. And right when he's turning, there's a naked man walking into the mirror, into the bathroom area of the locker room, and he cups the naked man's balls. So they both lock eyes,
Oh my
and my
God.
buddy's like, "Oh,
This
oh,
is
oh,
not
here's out."
the story that we end
This
with, but keep going.
this was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my
Just the
God,
funniest thing.
Steven.
Also, I don't understand why men love walking around naked all over the locker room. Like, I don't want to see your balls. Keep it. Wear some underwear.
Okay, Steven. I mean, I really don't understand why we always have to go so low sometimes. Like, I
No
feel
pun intended.
like, yeah, like, no pun intended. I feel like you're always trying to turn this into Bad Friends or something crazy.
What?
Like, for some reason, don't know why you want to do this
But
because that's not going to allow us to
imagine.
stand out in the crowd. Bad Friends
Okay,
too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not who we are.
that's you know what we should invite those guys to be guests on our podcast.
Okay, we have to grow a little bit more, but maybe I wouldn't, I'd be okay with that. So, okay, so everyone, on that note, we are going to end. This is the first podcast of 2025. I can't believe we're in our second year. Here we go, Steven. So,
Happy New Year.
everybody, Happy New Year. Thank you for listening. And please remember to follow, like our podcast, and have a wonderful week, Stephen.
Thank you, my friends. Glad to be here once again with you, sharing our thoughts and our toilet talk.
Oh my God. Goodbye, people. Have a wonderful week. We're going to end on a good note. See you later.